Patricia Gibson, you have a maximum of 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Chair, I probably won't even use all of that time. The reason why I was so keen to speak in this debate is that 22% of my constituents in North Ayrshire and Arran, aged 16 to 64, are recognised as being disabled under the Equality Act or have work-limiting disabilities. So it's very important that I participated in this debate to represent my constituents. And we know that a compassionate and decent society dictates that to have the disability employment gap, as the Conservatives pledged to do, which is an extremely laudable aim, requires the correct amount of support to be achieved, not the withdrawal of support, which is causing so much concern. The reduction of the ESA RAG from April 2017 will force many sick and disabled people backwards and further away from getting the help they need to get back to work and to indeed enter the workplace for the first time. This is despite the fact that RAG was specifically created to support the ill and disabled back into work, rather than simply placing them as GSA claimants. And the Chancellor himself acknowledged in his recent budget statement that ESA RAG recipients are actively seeking, usually, very often actively seeking a sustainable place in the workforce. But there's a credibility argument amongst the community and voluntary sector that instead of incentivising work, the government is actually disincentivising work, and I know that many people today have touched on that. Many sick and disabled people find the prospect of the demands of the workplace increasingly challenging, especially in terms of how employers will react to them. According to the Disability Benefits Consortium, a third of disabled people live below the poverty line. And I've already mentioned that earlier on today. We have 3.7 million people who are disabled living in poverty, and that figure is increasing. And we know that because the figures increased by 300,000 last year. What is needed to provide those living with a disability into the job market is to treat disabled benefit claimants with personalised and compassionate care, instead of implementing reforms which ignore the complexities and challenges of these people's lives. If we want to support disabled people into work, the benefit system upon which they are designed to achieve that very end must continue to reflect that. And we all have heard in our constituencies anecdotal evidence of the shocking treatment of some claimants with the introduction of the work capability assessments, with fit-to-work decisions being made that seem to defy all logic and all reason. And many of those decisions, as we know, have thankfully been overturned. But the stress and trauma that they cause the claimants in the first place is simply not acceptable. Far too many disabled people continue to face barriers which deny them the opportunity to find fulfilling work opportunities. And what a tragedy that so many of those barriers have been erected and, looking into the future, appear to be continuing to be erected by the government itself, marginalising a group that is already excluded in so many ways. And I urge the Minister to consider, to reflect upon these concerns in his response. Thank you, Chair.